Hi, my name is Donn Bullock, and I'm the Program Director of Virtual Client Solutions at Mainline. In 2007, we saw a phenomenal opportunity in the virtual client space. Desktop virtualization truly is changing the way so many customers see their desktop environment. We have a real opportunity to help you, our customers, this year to be able to realize these benefits. Benefits in the areas of lowering your total cost of ownership, improving your bottom line, improving security, and easing your manageability concerns and administrative burden. Virtual Client really does offer some phenomenal benefits to you. So many customers have come to us and asked us, why should I suddenly care about this new solution? Why should I care about Virtual Client? Well, number one, of course, we recognize that many customers spend a phenomenal amount of money on their desktop environment. This is where we begin. Cost savings. And we'll illustrate a few ways that we can save you money. Save you money in the amount of money that you spend on managing your environment and the people, the resources. This is a very resource-intensive environment that you have within your company. Saving you money on the cost of acquisition. And of course, helping to show you how you can lower the total cost of ownership, TCO being a key measurement when we look at virtualized desktop environments. Many consultants now agree that virtual desktop and desktop virtualization is truly the future of the corporate PC. One such consulting firm, Forrester Research, has identified virtual desktops as truly the future of the corporate PC. Their white paper is available and they go through a number of different benefits. They agree, as Mainline advocates, that this truly is a solution. Technologies that are aligning like the stars to make this a truly viable solution, different than the way this solution has been deployed over the years. In addition, IDC shows that there is a phenomenal amount of business opportunity out in the market today. What does that tell you as a customer? There are going to be a lot of solution providers, a lot of business partners chasing your dollars and chasing your business. What we say is, because of this, you need a true solution provider, and that's where Mainline comes in. As your solution provider for Virtual Client Solutions, you get to leverage all of the expertise that we've built up over the last 18 months of our dedicated virtual client practice. In addition, you get to leverage all of the skills that we have combined, and we'll talk in a few minutes about those skills that we bring to bear as your solution provider for Virtual Client. When we look at Virtual Client, we see this as a true business solution. There are a number of components. First of all, you have the hardware component, and there's the software, and then lastly the services. When we look at the hardware component of the solution, of course we have the server element, we have storage, and we have thin clients that really are designed to replace the fat client PCs that we see out in the market today. From a software standpoint, we leverage VMware as the virtualization software foundation for the Virtual Client solution. VMware is key to this component because primarily this is a solid virtualization software application that has been enterprise proven and tested over a number of years. In addition, the exact same application that you're able to leverage for virtual desktop is the same application that you use today for virtualizing your servers. What a beautiful story in terms of skills management and skills transfer within your organization. Of course, there are other software elements as well, and we'll talk about those in just a few minutes. Lastly, and probably more important to you, are the services components and the skills that we, Mainline, bring to bear to bring all of these elements together. And that's really Mainline's value add. The fact that as your solution provider, we bring all the software, the hardware, all of these things integrated into your environment. And that's really one of the keys. We'll talk in a few minutes about some of those services opportunities in just a second. Real quickly, let me give you a quick overview of the architecture. We call this the 7 elements of the Virtual Client solution. When we look at the 7 elements, we see the different components of the overall architecture, each one of them providing key requirements or key benefits to the overall solution architecture. Let's start at the beginning. One of our key goals, of course, in this solution is that we want to replicate the user's experience. We want to deliver a true PC experience to each and every user, but at the same time delivering better availability and reliability, easing the administrative burden associated with managing this huge desktop environment, and of course being able to deliver on that lower cost model that's key to being able to deliver the ROI that you expect from such a solution. When we look at such architecture, and such opportunities on the front end, we see naturally the opportunity to replace these fat clients with thin clients. Why thin clients? Well, for a number of reasons. Number one, thin clients, because they are solid state, give us the ability to introduce a device that is more reliable and less complex than today's PCs. Today's PCs really are supercomputers on each and every desk. Why does an individual need a supercomputer to do their basic tasks, to do email, to surf the web, to access a database? In reality, we have spent way too much money acquiring these devices, and as such have become very dependent upon their reliability. Individuals store a tremendous amount of data on these devices, and now these devices become a single point of failure within the overall environment. Instead, let's remove the operating system. Let's remove the applications and that data, and let's move it into the data center where it can be better protected, backed up, and part of our company's disaster recovery strategy. DR is now a key component in not only encompassing our server data center area and our storage as well, but now can also encompass the desktops. So again, we're going to replace that today's desktop with a thin client device. That thin client device becomes, in essence, a disposable access device. That device does little more than connect that user to their desktop operating environment that now lives inside of the data center on more reliable storage, hosted from more reliable, high-performing servers. Next, we transition from element 1 to element 2, the network access layer. Using your standard company network, you can run this over Ethernet at high speeds. Because of the type of solution architecture that we're discussing, it is a very low bandwidth requirement. What many customers come to us and inquire about is, well, because of the bandwidth requirements of many of the applications or surfing the web or doing training videos, etc., aren't I going to overwhelm my network now with this new network load? Well, in fact, what we have found through our testing at VMware and at IBM is that each and every desktop can be fully satisfied with approximately 8 to 100 kilobits per second per desktop. Truly phenomenal when you consider that's little more than a dial-up connection today. In addition to your standard Ethernet network, you also have wireless capability as well as VPN. So you can give, in addition to your local users inside of your office firewall, you can also give remote users access to that network from their home, as well as remotely from when they're outside of the office, perhaps traveling on business. Let's move now to the third element, the user management layer. When a user actually gets access to the network, what they're actually doing is they're logging in to what's called a connection broker server. The connection broker is an intermediary, handling the connection between the thin client device and their actual desktop environment that lives inside of the server. When that user logs into the thin client, they are actually logging into the connection broker, which then authenticates that user against your Active Directory and then hands that individual's credentials off to the VMware Virtual Center. VMware Virtual Center, then managing those credentials, then creates a virtual machine according to that user's profile information. That user can then be assigned a virtual machine based specifically upon their desktop and application requirements. Now you have the ability for each and every user to be customized according to their job description. You can have a particular desktop image for the finance department, for accounting, for marketing, for sales, for executives, etc. Customization, but with perfect control. You now control what applications get installed in each and every one of those virtual machines. You decide on which applications that you want to support. When an individual contacts you about needing assistance with a particular application or a particular database access issue, etc., you can ghost into that image with that particular user and help to troubleshoot it. Again, complete control over the environment, but the ability to be able to support that entire environment from a remote location, just like you do your data center servers today. Now let's move from the user management layer into the virtualization software layer. As I mentioned before, we leverage VMware as the software foundation for the virtual client solution. VMware is a phenomenal application. Gives you tremendous opportunities in terms of virtualizing servers and improving your overall server utilization, lowering your cost, and being able to do it with fewer people on staff. Now we're going to apply that same methodology, that same method of thinking to our desktop environment as well. What we're going to do is we're now going to consolidate all of those desktops into our data center and give us the ability to better control not only the desktops themselves, but all of the data that we have that our company is dependent upon. That data is key to running our business. Today, we have, in essence, so much of our data that's riding around in laptops, potentially being exposed into the public domain. It doesn't take more than a quick scan through the Wall Street Journal on maybe a weekly basis, and you see some company that has had an employee that has lost a laptop or had a laptop or a desktop stolen, and as a result, all of that data being lost. Instead of being subject to a single spinning hard drive that is prone to failure, let's instead move that data into the data center where it can be backed up, where it can be mirrored and stored on more enterprise class storage. That's the thinking that we want to be able to instill, and the opportunity that you have as you investigate virtual client to be able to take advantage of. As we move now from the virtualization software layer and all of the benefits that VMware brings to bear, including such advanced features as vMotion and high availability and resource scheduling, we look at how that mates with the data center hardware in and of itself, and the many hooks that these two companies, VMware and IBM, have built into each other's applications to make this environment work seamlessly, work as an integrated whole. Hosted on IBM Blade Center servers or on System X scalable servers such as the 3850 or the 3950, you truly have the ability to be able to create an enterprise class environment for your desktops. Hosted on Blades, you have true flexibility to integrate into one single chassis. Blades for your virtual servers, Blades for your virtual desktops, dedicated servers for database, for email, for CRM applications, for application servers, etc., all in one single chassis with integrated switching and integrated management capabilities. Truly powerful in terms of its opportunities, truly powerful indeed in terms of the chance that you have as an administrator to be able to control the entire environment from one single location. As we move now from the data center hardware into the storage element, you also see that as we include storage in this environment, we have the ability to manage this overall from one single whole. Storage is a key requirement for every company today. And leveraging IBM storage, we're able to create this enterprise class environment for all of the desktop data that we have out in the environment today. Systems management now gives us the ability to look at the entire environment and manage all of these different elements as one single entity. The ability to see our thin clients, the ability to see our servers, our storage, to be able to manage our VMware environment all from one single console. Leveraging tools like Virtualization Manager, which integrates IBM's Director systems management software with VMware's Virtual Center systems management software. Inside of one console, we can now see all of our physical server devices, all of our virtual server devices, and all of our virtual desktop devices, and manage those accordingly inside of that single console. Prior to now, we had, this architecture was principally comprised of these 6 elements. Last week, Mainline announced a new exclusive among the business partner community. For the very first time, we have the opportunity to support the entire solution, all components of the configuration, with one single phone number. As you can see, we've introduced a number of different vendors. You as the customer normally would be expected to call each one of those vendors to get support for their products. Now, Mainline has introduced the very first virtual client consolidated support offering, and that is the 7th element of the virtual client solution. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more now. The Mainline Virtual Client Consolidated Support offering is a single phone number that you can call. It is a basic services offering that you can select. There are 2 different packages. The first package is a 1-year, 10-incident, 8x5 service pack that you can purchase. The second takes it from 8x5 to 7x24. This gives you flexibility, this gives you peace of mind. This gives you the opportunity to call one number and be able to get support for all of the elements included within your virtual client solution. From the WISE thin clients through the VMware software, the IBM servers and storage, the ability to be able to talk to one individual and get level 1, level 2, and in some cases level 3 support from any of these different products. Again, truly creating an overall solution for your environment. That's the Mainline value add that we bring. That's why Mainline is your virtual client solution provider. So Don, what are some of the benefits that you've seen for virtual client computing? Well, of course, there are a number. We've already mentioned a few of them. Number 1, reduced cost. Number 2, ease manageability, and number 3, improving security. When we talk about reducing costs, there are of course a number of different ways to reduce cost. TCO is a very amorphous term that we hear often in the industry today. TCO stands for total cost of ownership. It is every single cost that goes into owning a particular desktop device. It goes beyond the cost of acquisition. As we'll talk about here in just a few minutes, a Gartner study showed all of the different components of the total cost of ownership. But what they concluded was, in their study, that a traditional versus a virtual client environment, it is possible to reduce your total cost of owning a desktop environment by as much as 35% over the life of that environment. Truly a phenomenal opportunity for customers who are interested in reducing the amount of money they spend on their desktops. Other ways to reduce cost include, of course, power consumption. We'll talk in a few minutes about how we can reduce the total amount of power that's consumed by the environment by moving away from underutilized desktops that sit with 100, 150, 200 watt power supplies or more, and instead transitioning to thin client devices that consume 5, 8, or 10 watts of power, and moving those operating environments into fewer servers, concentrating those desktops on those servers and storage. Even the sum aggregate total of all those components can reduce the total power by as much as 90%. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. In addition, one thing we haven't touched on is because of the increased reliability of a thin client environment. Today you typically might see for a traditional PC environment a lifespan of anywhere between 3 and 5 years. That's typical. But for a thin client environment, it's radically different and much improved. Because we're now deploying solid-state devices with no moving parts, thin client manufacturers agree that the mean time between failure, the MTBF, of these devices can go anywhere from 6 years upwards of 10 years or more. Now, rather than trying to keep up with the life cycle of our systems and what processors are coming out, what hard drives are available, what components are needed to support the latest operating systems, instead we're going to transition away from a desktop device dependency now to actually just managing the environment from our data center. And that's really the key. Now we're going to replace that fat client device with the gigahertz and the megahertz and the megabytes and the gigabytes with simple disposable access devices. We no longer need to replace that device on a life cycle. We only need to replace the device when it fails. We're going to control the amount of CPU, memory, and storage that each one of those virtual desktops is delivered now from the data center side, even allocating those things dynamically to those users on an as-needed basis. By doubling the life expectancy, naturally we're able to extend the life of our overall environment and overall reduce the cost by dividing across more years for that particular environment. Of course, we've already talked about the ability to be able to lower the total cost of acquisition. Mainline, as part of our announcement last week, is going to be able to show you how we can save you phenomenally versus what you purchase today in buying a traditional desktop. We've actually announced a number of new bundle configurations, which are going to give you some great opportunities to buy one solution, one vendor with one support phone number. What a phenomenal value proposition that is. In terms of easing manageability, this is really one of the places where customers get most excited about Virtual Client, primarily because you now have the ability to reduce the amount of setup time and configuration time that's required for creating a new virtual machine, such as when you get a new employee. Now, instead of having to procure a new desktop, have that desktop imaged according to your company's image, maybe for that particular department, or one single image for your company, and then sending that user or sending a tech with that particular desktop to that user. Now you can just overnight a thin client with that user's login name and password. That thin client can already be set up with the IP address of the connection broker. When that person connects their thin client to their monitor and logs in, they're immediately connected into their virtual desktop environment that you've created literally by copying and pasting files inside of your data center. Truly saves a tremendous amount of time in terms of the setup and deployment, but more importantly, really unlocks the opportunity for you to be able to create opportunities for your IT staff to do other things inside of your company besides deploying, besides break fix of desktops, and of course the lost productivity that comes from desktop downtime. We've touched on just briefly some of the improved security opportunities that we also have. When we're able to actually move data off of the desktop device and into the data center, we have better control over the data. It's just that simple. Now we have the ability to be able to consolidate that data inside of a single data center and give us the ability to better control the customer information, the credit card information, account information of the customers with whom we do business. And that's really powerful. And in some industries, there are actually regulatory compliance issues that could be introduced if we don't better control our data. Let's not be victimized by a lost or a stolen laptop. Instead, let's take control. Let's be proactive and better protect our data starting today. Talking very quickly about the Gartner study, one thing that they looked very specifically at was where are the different costs associated with managing a desktop environment. And what they found was that only 30% of the total cost of owning a particular desktop is in the actual cost of acquisition. That means that there's 70% of the total cost of owning a desktop that we can impact by transitioning from a traditional to a virtual client environment. What we have found is that we're able to reduce our setup and deployment time by as much as 50%, reduce our operating costs by as much as 29%, improve and reduce worker productivity, reducing downtime by as much as 88%, and of course increasing IT staff productivity by 78%. All of these things are additive. They all can add up over the life of the solution, over the life of our environment, to be able to help us to better recognize the investments that we've made. One cost, however, that the Gartner study did not include was the power savings. Let me give you a quick example. If I were transitioning today from an 800-seat traditional desktop environment to a 800-seat virtual client environment, what I might see is that instead of an 800-seat environment that had consumed about 150 watts each, or about 120,000 watts of power, I'm going to replace those 800 desktops with 800 thin clients, each of those consuming about 8 watts of power. That's about 6,400 watts. Now I'm also going to introduce servers and storage into my environment. The sum total of all of those components would yield less than 12,000 watts of power. Again, that's a 90% decrease in the power consumption. As companies look to take advantage of the green initiatives that exist today, many companies naturally should be concerned about power costs. Power savings is a real savings that you can realize when deploying a virtual client environment. And in fact, if you actually do the math, the power savings alone will pay for the thin client deployment in under a 3-year time period. And if the device only lives to 6 years, then now you're starting to offset the actual cost of the environment and preparing yourself for perhaps the next rollout or offsetting the cost of the overall solution. One of the things that you can actually do is you can actually run your own TCO analysis. VMware has come out with a brand new TCO calculator, which is actually very phenomenal. Great opportunity to run your own numbers and test your own assumptions with your own analysis. To get access to that calculator, go to www.vmware.com/go/calculator, select desktop, virtual desktop infrastructure, and you'll be able to run your own analysis. Using a quick 100 desktop analysis, what we actually saw was that we were actually able to recognize an ROI of 155%, save phenomenal amounts of money, projected savings of almost $120,000 for this environment, and spending only about $76,000 in the course of adding the environment. Naturally, every solution is different. It depends naturally on the thin client that you select, the type of server that you select, the type of flavor of VMware software that you select, and the support contract that you look at. But consulting with Mainline, we'd naturally be able to help to create a turnkey solution just for you. Many people have said, well, naturally I can go and buy these components off the shelf. Why should I work with you, Mainline? Well, we've come up with what we call the 7 simple reasons. 7 simple reasons why you should partner with Mainline for Virtual Client Solution. Number 1, we are an 18-year-old, over $600 million reseller. We are actually IBM's largest reseller and VMware's largest reseller in the United States. As a matter of fact, in recognition of Mainline's achievements, VMware has actually, as of February 1st of this year, announced that Mainline is the very first national partner. Prior to the National Partner Program, the highest tier in VMware's reseller business partner program was the premier status, which Mainline did enjoy. Now, as VMware's largest reseller, we have also become their first national partner, recognition of our investments and our skills in consolidating servers, and as well our investment skills and deployments in the virtual desktop market as well. We have a dedicated team for virtual client, dedicated resources in the form of multiple business partner integration centers that you can leverage for tests, for demos, for opportunities to see this in your environment. The great thing about working with Mainline is we have the resources. We can bring these solutions to bear within your environment. Using your applications, we have the team that can come to your site and install these solutions. Give Mainline an opportunity to come to you and work with you, again, on building this turnkey solution. Mainline is IBM's go-to partner for virtual client as well. We work very closely with the Global Technology Services Group, dedicated to virtual desktop within IBM. So you know that, again, we're bringing this technology, bringing our skills to bear in helping IBM and VMware to better sell virtual desktop out in the market today. And of course, we have partnership agreements in place with the industry's leaders. Whether it's VMware, IBM, or Wise Technology for the thin clients, we bring the industry's best to deliver for your solution, which should give you peace of mind as you work through your analysis and then ultimately through your deployment of this solution. And then naturally, with our industry-exclusive consolidated support offering, you have the ability to be able to call one company, deal with one company, Mainline, to be able to not only consult on your solution, deploy your solution, but also enjoy that post-sale support that you require to help you feel comfortable about deploying this in the future. Real quickly, let's talk about the configurations that Mainline has recently introduced. First of all, we've introduced a new bundle configuration that we call BCS-VCS. Leveraging the new Blade Center S chassis that IBM has recently introduced, we bring a single configuration, chassis, 6 blades, integrated storage within the chassis, switches, VMware software, either the Wise V10L thin client or the Wise S10, plus additional software components to make one complete 300 user bundle. At $775 per seat for a solution that includes the V10L, or at $625 per seat for a solution that includes the Wise S10, you have the ability to buy one SKU and get a complete solution delivered for your environment. If you need more than 300 users, then there's the VCS for Enterprise, a 700 user bundle that scales linearly. This is a single Blade Center H chassis with 14 blades, completely outfitted with all the options, whether it be the memory, the drives for the blades, the switches for the chassis, etc. Plus up to 10 terabytes of additional storage, plus the VMware, plus Wise V10L thin clients. One single solution at $75 and $50 per seat. And in many regards, as I've heard from so many customers, that's actually lower than their acquisition price for their traditional desktops today. If you don't need that many users, then naturally we have a smaller configuration, a VCS SMB bundle for 50 users. One single 3650, a 2-socket, 2U rack-mounted server that includes the integrated storage, all of the VMware software necessary, plus 50 Wise V10L thin clients at a price of $35,000 or $700 per seat. Again, now gives you the ability to buy one solution, have it deployed in your environment, and be able to benefit from virtual client today. Wise has produced a number of phenomenal thin clients that we sell. Wise and Mainline enjoy a very strong, very robust relationship. Today we sell a tremendous amount of their products, and we're very proud to be an alliance partner of Wise. Today we see a lot of the Wise V10L as well as S10 thin clients that our customers are purchasing and deploying in their environments. In addition to the desktops, we also have laptop alternatives. Naturally, as we go through our discussions and talking about virtual client, we can certainly help you to be able to pick the best thin client that's appropriate for your environment. So what are your next steps? Well, naturally, having the opportunity to talk with you now is your first step. Let's take that next step together. Let's come on site. Let us come on site and talk to you more personally about how we can take and craft a solution that's customized for your particular needs. We can bring servers, we can bring storage, we can bring the thin clients, and of course we can bring our own engineering skills to be able to show you how this environment can be optimized for your environment teach you how to be able to tune it and manage it over the life of the environment, and then of course support you after the deployment to be able to ensure that this delivers that day one ROI that we always consider to be a critical component of the virtual client solution. Mainline is very proud to be your partner in Virtual Client Solutions, and we hope that you will give us the opportunity. Virtual Client really does represent a huge opportunity, an opportunity to effectively Control-Alt-Delete on our entire desktop environment. Take advantage of these opportunities. Take advantage of Mainline. We are here to help you and here to be able to make your environment work better. Please give us a call and feel free to send me an email or send the lead architect, Chris Menace, an email or give us a call. We would be more than happy to help you out. We look forward to being your partner. Thank you for your time.